Yeah. Well, Robert L. Dean, we're ready for another great report
Oh, we got
by
a good
you.
one. We got
Now,
a
now,
good one.
now who do we have with us today?
Well, I've had the pleasure of working with this gentleman. He gave me a chance, an opportunity to be with greatness and around greatness when he was producing a comedy series out of San Diego called Holla.
Uh huh.
That entity,
Holla.
yeah, that entity ended up being the number one Christian
Holla.
comedy series in the country.
Uh huh.
He goes by the name of Mr. Jeru Tillman. Good morning, my brother.
Good morning. What's going on, Earl? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm blessed and I'm wonderfully blessed because we got you here on the line with us.
I'm happy to be here, brother. Happy to be here.
Well, I wanted to start off this interview.
Yes,
I got a beef.
he always got a beef.
I got a beef with your Doctor Tillman. You know, I've been trying to break into the comedy circuit for some 2 minutes now. And I want to know why I didn't get to be on the show to holler. Why couldn't I have been on the show? I'm good. I've been in this game for 2 whole minutes.
You got to jump in a time machine, brother. If you just started 2 minutes ago, you got to jump in a time machine. That was 15 long years ago when we did that thing. But
Yeah.
look, man, there's never any time like the present. As long as you got Earl Dean there to do it with, you'll have an audience. At least you'll be the only comedian on earth with an audience to perform in front of now.
Well.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, well, man, I want to say kudos to you. That
Yes,
series that you did was epic,
yes.
and to bring it to San Diego
Mm-hmm.
and to do your taping and everything, we are honored just to know you and say thank you for considering our city. We tell people all the time, if you live in the United States, you are blessed. If you live in California, you're doubly blessed. But if you live in San Diego, you're part of the chosen few. So you
Yes.
came to the chosen few city to launch that, and I
Right on.
know. I know that it has been a blessing. Robert Earl Dean.
Well, he has a connection to San Diego that many people may not know. Tell us how you are a part of San Diego.
Well, I actually went to San Diego State
Yep.
back in the early '90s. So I've loved San Diego for a long time. Back when you could get from San Diego to LA in a little less than 2 hours with no stress. You know, that's my first experience with it. So I always loved the city, and I felt like at that time I was just trying to break into the comedy and the producing world. I come from stand up comedy, the business of it,
Hmm.
and I was trying to break into the producing world. And I felt like, what better place than San Diego to do it? I love the city. I'm comfortable. I love the people there, and people there love to have a good time. And definitely, when you throw the name of the Lord in there in San Diego, it just made for a perfect combination.
Oh yes, and we saw the fruits of your labor. We sold out on many occasions.
Yeah, man. I mean, I got to give that to you, Earl. I mean, back then you were the first combination of top promoter in the city, track coach, gospel singer. I'd never met somebody quite like you, man. So,
Wow.
you made it happen, man. Everybody that needed to be in the building was there because of you. So thank you.
Wow, man, I appreciate it. You gave me a chance, and people out there, this gentleman who is an executive man over and over, he gave me opportunity and gave me credits. Now that says a lot about this gentleman's character and his belief in others that are coming up.
I got good credits. I need credit. Can you get me on? Can you get me on good credit? I could recover on bad credit. I'm rebuilding my credit.
You're on the wrong kind of
Oh,
credit,
that's the
sir.
wrong kind of
Yes,
credit.
we're talking
Okay.
about credits in
Man,
the credits like giving people producer,
Wow.
executive producer, all that kind of stuff.
You was in the rolling script at the end.
Go look, go check it out, brother.
Really?
What they say,
Wait,
Google
wait,
me.
wait, 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 wait. Did they have was it the full Robert Earl Dean, or was it just Earl Dean?
I think it was Robert Earl Dean.
Well,
He's one of the
well.
first people to actually help coin the name.
Well, he went to San Diego State, and I'm alumni of San Diego State, so he must be real good people.
Oh, check it, check Google him.
Google him.
Yes.
All right, I just did Google him, and I was like, man, oh man, his credits is dope.
So, well, what made you want to get into comedy? Because I think it's very important, especially where we are right now with Corona and people being discouraged and not knowing what's going on, what made you get into that particular entity?
What? Well, when I got to college, I realized that I've never been a 9 to 5 guy, so I've always been an entrepreneur. My uncle Michael Williams owned the world's first black comedy club right here in Los Angeles. It was called the Comedy Act Theater, and it was a comedian named Robin Harris who was
Oh my
hosting at the
goodness.
time.
Yes.
Baby's Kids, that kind of
Yes.
thing.
Legend.
And so in high school, I used to sneak in and just watch. So that was back when you would see guys like D.L. Hughley and Tommy Davidson, Chris Tucker, guys like that who hadn't really broken through to the mainstream yet. So Michael used to send me comedians to come down to San Diego State. So I used to do shows. I was the guy that did shows. I did the parties on the campus. I did shows. I did recruiting trips for local high school kids to come up to the campus. I did all that. So, comedy was kind of in my blood. And, I took the confidence that I built by producing shows on campus and, brought it back to Los Angeles and slowly grew from there.
So, didn't you have like a comedy thing you did one night of a week in Los Angeles as well?
Yeah, for 10 years, well, I mean, really, that was a long time. For 10 years, I did a show every Tuesday night at the world famous Comedy Store,
Hmm.
right on Sunset Boulevard in the main room. So we, were fortunate enough to have, everybody from Tiffany Haddish to Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, Deion Cole, guys that you've seen every day came through the workshop, their material in front of an audience that I would curate and promote to every week. And my goal was to provide opportunities for the next generation of talent to get seen by big Hollywood executives
Hmm.
and create an environment where they can really thrive in. And so I did that by making sure it was just a really cool environment where you had celebrities and athletes and just good people in a room laughing all right next to each other
Hanging out.
and just
Hanging out.
created an ecosystem that was super popular
Right.
for comics to get in front of. So yeah, that was really my vibe, man, and I leveraged that to become a TV and film producer.
What are some of the TV things you've worked on?
Well, let's see. We've done. I executive produced the most recent season of Def Comedy Jam on HBO. This was back in 2017. Produced the roast of Snoop Dogg. We just did a Def Comedy Jam fundraiser, Healing Through Laughter, 2 weeks ago that we did live on Facebook, hosted by Cedric the Entertainer, and that had Tiffany Haddish, Deion Cole, Anthony Anderson, Earthquake, rapper Common, Usher, a bunch of people. We rallied a bunch of people to help raise money for COVID-19 protective equipment to go directly into the hood in New York because obviously, we've been the ones that have been most impacted
Right.
thus far by the disease. So we wanted to do something to help there. So that was my most recent thing.
Well, brother, I don't know if my agent or manager
Oh
did
Lord.
did not get my material to you 4 minutes ago, but somehow, some way, I still didn't get invited to the latest one. Robert Earl D, is he trying to tell me I ain't funny?
You know what? I will speak on his behalf. I
Uh
think that a lot of times we have high hopes and dreams, and there's nothing wrong with that.
huh.
But we have to um, perfect our craft. 2 minutes
Okay.
of doing it is not, I think, sufficient enough
You,
to be able to stand in the platforms that he present.
huh.
Because when you get opportunities with people like Jeru, you have to make sure that you're ready. Because I know from working with him, he works you, brother. He works you,
Hold
works you,
on.
works you.
You mean to tell me
I
that?
do. I do.
He does.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me I can't go and run a marathon tomorrow?
No, I would suggest that you probably would do something like a fundraiser where you walk around the track and every lap you get $1 or something. I
Oh,
think that would be the first thing you do,
okay.
and then you progressively move
Walk
to other
before
things.
you said walk before I run.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to make sure. The reason why I'm doing this, my brother, is how often do you get artists that come to you and be like asking you to be put on the main event and
Right.
stage, but don't want
Yes.
to do no work?
Uh, man, honestly, it's rare. Even when I was doing shows in Hollywood, that was my reputation was, you can't. I'm not where you start. I'm where you go when you're ready to get up to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to come to me and ask how can I get on your stage, you really kind of already behind the eight ball with me. By the time you get to me, you're supposed to know, which means that you've really been honing your skills for a little while, and you've gotten to a point where you feel like you're ready to get seen by some people who can help change your life
Mm-hmm.
from a professional standpoint. Last thing you want to do is you want to get in front of an audience of decision makers and not be good,
Mm-hmm.
because then you could blow your opportunity. So that
Mm-hmm.
it says something about preparation. You
Mm-hmm.
could be naturally talented, but if your skill set isn't there, you're gonna embarrass yourself. And it might start, unfortunately, before you get on the stage. It might start with you asking me, how come I'm not on your show? And then it'll go from there.
Did he just throw shade at? I was
No, he
playing.
did.
I was playing. So for the young up and coming comics, the people that are
Yeah.
interested in getting to the field, could you give them a quick 101 where to start, how to start,
Mm-hmm.
and what you would recommend so that they can really grow their craft? And is there any, how some people go to acting schools
Right.
and things of that nature? Is there any type of professional school or anything like that that they might be able to tap into?
Yeah, there is. I mean, and truthfully, you don't need, with the pandemic that we're in now, stand up comedy is probably on hold for another year. But fortunately, we have social media to help us find an audience. So case in point, let's look at somebody who fits right directly hand in glove in with the demographic of your station. Is a comedian named Kev on stage who
Yeah.
is really, really popular in the Christian world, but has managed to cross over and break through into the mainstream world. And he leveraged his skill set. He leveraged the internet, Facebook, Instagram, to help really grow his audience substantively. Now he's got an audience of, a few million people just on Facebook and Instagram alone.
Wow.
And he's managed to turn that following into dollars. When people see that you have an audience
Mm-hmm.
that's a very specific audience, and in his case, it's probably African Americans between the age of 18 to 40,
Mm-hmm.
a family focused audience. Brands want to get in front of that. They want to be a part of that. So now he's got the ability to get a Jack in the Box, Target to want to advertise with him.
Wow.
So there's really no excuse. I mean, you don't have to go the old-fashioned way where you're struggling to get on stage in front of 8 people and
Mm-hmm.
honing your craft for 2 years just to get in front of an audience like mine on a local level.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can really just, kind of fine-tune what you do and workshop it on social media in real time and get honest reactions and assessment of your material right away. I mean, you'll know if people like your stuff right away. So there's nothing to stop anybody. My suggestion would be to figure out what you want to do and how you want to present yourself and get started.
Yeah, Kev has had a big impact. I know that. I just saw him on a commercial just recently with another young man from San Diego. But also, the young people really loved him, even to the point that they told us that we had to bring him. And so one year we brought him to the Midway, and he brought the funny on the flight deck of the Midway.
That's what the guy he was talking about.
Yeah,
I saw him.
yeah, very. He used a lot of
Oh,
the
he was
social media, yeah,
good.
and did a wonderful job. Did a wonderful job.
Wow,
So he's
Jeru.
a really talented guy. Yeah, he's a really, really talented guy. And I think that, he's a proud Christian, and he's somebody that can not only really do a great show in front of a church, but has put himself in a position where he can perform really in any environment, whether it be in an award show or a mainstream
Mm-hmm.
secular show. He could really do it all. And that just goes to show he's managed to build himself up over the course of a couple of years by leveraging his skill set on social media.
Yeah, and
So if you're an artist,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I would do.
one of the things I really love about him is that he's building a legacy for his family. I see that he's also got his wife involved, his kids get involved, and many times he tries to take them with him. But the kids are getting little acting gigs now, and
Wow.
so he's really beginning to build a legacy. So it's really good advice to begin to hone your skills somewhat other than just the old-fashioned way. Robert?
Well, Jeru, we appreciate you for what you're doing because you're very influential in bringing to us the Lester Berries, the Small Fries, and the Edwana Whites. Let's talk about how you connected with some of those because you are very influential in us knowing them larger than they were before.
Yeah, man. Here in LA, man, everybody's here. So I mean, that's one thing about the city, man. If you're looking to make it on television and film, everybody lives in Los Angeles, so the talent is pretty much concentrated in a small pond. But the thing about Lester Berry and Small Fry, that philosophy for that show was really bringing comedians who may have been popular at one point in time with Def Comedy Jam,
Right.
and putting them in an environment where they could perform, for either a Christian crowd or perform for families.
Family, yeah.
And so we wanted to really create an environment for that, but at the same time bring people who who could genuinely have you up off your feet and laughing really, really hard. So Lester Berry used to be the host of BET's Comic View back in the day, and he was just a natural piece of talent that could host and run a show and have you crack it up. So I think, working with him or guys like Joe Clare, who hosted the Gospel Comedy All-Stars when we shot it at Joan Croc,
Yes.
and that was also something that you promoted. Joe Clare used to be the host of BET's Rap City, but was a fantastic host for the Gospel Comedy All-Stars because those are his roots. So whether or not, when you live an authentic African-American experience, whether or not you go to church, every single Sunday, you're a half a degree separated from that culture, if that.
Yes.
So I think that, a lot of comedians who don't get an opportunity to perform for that kind of a crowd are really appreciative to be exposed to what really is a loyal audience. As long as you're authentic, man, and real and true and you're a believer, I think the Christian audience can sense that and is super supportive of talent like that. So really it was more of a benefit for some of the talent to do my show, fortunately, and get in front of the audience that you helped to curate, Earl, and it positioned them to make money and grow their careers out in front of an audience they never would have focused their energies on in the first place. So guys like, Lester, who's become a pastor full time,
Yes.
and Vince D and Edwanda White, those are three people who've done, and Small Fry, those are three people who've done Def Comedy Jam, but they're full time, faith focused
Yes.
comedians.
Yes. Thanks to you.
No, not necessarily thanks to me.
Or
I
your
mean,
help.
I think,
Or your help. Let me say it
yeah,
like
I
that.
think, I think I was a conduit, but for sure. But I mean, look, man, I think I've been very fortunate. San Diego is fertile ground not for people who like to come out and enjoy stuff like that, but
Yep.
fertile ground for talent.
Yep.
I mean, Faison Love, Big Worm,
Yes.
Friday is from San Diego.
That's my cousin.
Nick Cannon, obviously.
Yes.
Who, Faison Love?
Yeah, Faison's my love.
I went to high school with his sister.
Oh,
Yes.
well, let me tell you. Let me tell you the story how I met Faison. So, San Diego State, I was doing a show at Montezuma Hall, which
Yes.
is like the Madison Square Garden of halls at San Diego State. So I'm
Yes,
doing a
sir.
show at Montezuma Hall, and I've got Chris Tucker performing,
Wow.
and I was paying Chris Tucker premium dollars. At the time, it might have been $200. It was top of my budget. So
Wow.
Chris Tucker's coming down, and he calls the day of the show, and he says, I can't make the show. And we had sold out. And I said, what do you mean you can't make the show? And he says, I got to do Arsenio, man. So I'm panicking. He says, look, man, but I got you somebody else. I'm sending you Faison Love. He just did just did I get Bebe's kid. I had never met Faison at the time. So I was upset, but I didn't have any choice. So Faison comes down, and at the time, there's probably 500 people at Montezuma Hall. And at the time, it was a mix. It was college kids. It was some rough guys. A little bit of everything. There was some rough cats from certain parts of San Diego enjoying themselves at the show. So I took it upon myself to tell Faison. I said, "Hey, man, look." I said, "I'm really glad that you're doing this show, but I just want to warn you, man. Some dudes here, man." I said, "Some wild dudes here from San Diego, man. We'll let you know that, man. They're acting crazy. But these guys don't have sense. I just want to let you know." And he looked at me. He said, "What? I am from San Diego." And I said, "Good, you're going to do great." And he blew it up, and we've been friends ever since. So
Wow.
San Diego is forever close to my heart, man. Forever
Amen.
close to my heart.
Amen.
Wow.
So what's coming up next for you in a big way?
Well, I mean, what we were planning on doing before the pandemic hit, my company had just partnered with Bishop T.D. Jakes to do a Time to Laugh, which was going to be really kind of an extension of what Earl and I did at the very beginning. Just a faith and family-based comedy tour. So we were actually, Easter weekend, we were supposed to be in D.C. and St. Louis. So I think, when the smoke clears and we're back on our feet and everybody's able to kind of go out and get reacclimated with one another again, we'll do something with Bishop Jakes again along those lines because we felt like a Time to Laugh was right on time. And by the time the smoke clears, Time to Laugh and an ability and an opportunity for us to gather together and have a good time is going to be even more important than it was before. So we'll see. So whether that's something that we'll do live or a TV show, we'll see.
Well, let me tell you this: you are one of the key people for Robert Earl Dean to be doing what he's doing. Because you may not remember, but you allowed me to interview Small Fry. I had a show called The Gospel Connection that was on Public Access TV, and you allowed me to interview her, not knowing years later I would be on the radio, getting ready to work on a TV show myself. So, you are visionary, and I say that with the highest respect because you gave me and Deshaun Bailey the opportunity to work with you. It was so professional behind the scenes. You worked us. Put a lot of hours in, but it was worth it to see the many people that were inspired and blessed through the Holler series, which later on went to the Family Hour. So we appreciate you for what you've done with the comedy side.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it very much, and we definitely appreciate you and for always being a good, loyal friend in addition to somebody who really is a tastemaker, man, and an influencer in San Diego, man. So I just want to say thank you in front of your fans and listeners, and tell you thank you one more time. And I couldn't have done it without you.
Well, we're not finished yet. I believe the future is going to bring us to do some more work together because I will always work with you because you're loyal and you're consistent. So we appreciate you for taking the opportunity to be on here because it means a lot for me to have you here. And I was like, who could I get that's not typical a singer, quote unquote? I said, so let's think of some people, and you immediately came to my spirit. So I appreciate you, and this is always a home for you. Whenever you do anything, God Radio 1 will support you. I give you my total word on that.
Right on, man. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate the time. I'm looking forward to talking again.
How could anybody find you if they're interested in being a comedian or whatever?
You can find me on social media. You can either contact me at my company through Southfield Village Entertainment, or you can find me on social media at Jeru Tillman. It's all spelled out right there. You'll get a sense of who I am just by going there. You can direct message me if you have some questions about how to get started in entertainment, some outlets to target, some easy entry points to get in the mix. Feel free to ping me, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you with a little bit of advice.
Well, you listeners, you're hearing it directly from the executive himself. You don't get this kind of plug or opportunity often. So those that are listening and watching, Take advantage of these opportunities because God positions you, and it's what you do with what you get will determine how far you go. So thank you so much once again, brother, and we will stay in touch and keep on doing what you're doing because you're making a wonderful difference through laughter.
Right on. Thanks guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Be blessed.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Bye-bye.